Okay, I'm gonna show you how to do what I did to the orange wings. And the first thing that I would think is super important is to make a new layer and throw like a gray background on it. And not anything with a color, because then it'll saturate the color inside and you won't be able to see what you're doing, but it helps it so you can actually like see the effects you're gonna have on it, because it's gonna be in front of stuff in SL. Like there's gonna be stuff behind it, so it's not good to usually have it set to that. I'm gonna play with this one first because it's cuter. And this is the dodge tool, and then the burn tool. These are the two that I usually use. Dodge makes things, so I'll use an extreme example. Very light. And there's like 3 options here. It defines what type of thing it'll have the effect on. So like shadows, it'll have like a stronger effect on the darker area than it will on the light areas. You can kind of see it there. Whereas if you put it on highlights, it'll have more effect on the highlighter areas and midtones. It's just kind of, usually just play with it and figure out which one you like best. But yeah, all I did was like, you can't really see, but it is giving a little bit of an effect there. Just kind of followed some of the seams. And always like use a blur, like a blurred brush rather than a hard brush, because that's gross, you see. It's not even a special brush, it's just a normal brush with like a bit of fading and stuff. I literally just go over it and touch it up like I'm painting on it. That's all it is. It's super simple. You don't need to be super skilled in anything to be able to do that. Right. Okay, and then second thing I would do is take the eraser, and again with the blurred thing, and maybe only have it on the pressure on like 17 or something low, maybe even lower than that, put them both down so it's not straight up 100. Just kind of blur out some of the middle. Try and do it between your little green lines a bit, because then it'll kind of make them stand out a bit more without making them darker or anything. I should go do this to the other wing as well. Make sure that they're both on the same page so you don't get confused. Throw some highlighting in there. Okay, and then the opposite of the dodge tool is the burn tool, which if dodge lightens, the opposite would be darkens. And the same thing. See, I just tried to do this and it didn't really have much effect. It kind of made it a bit grosser, but it didn't have a real effect. So try highlights, which does good, and shadows. See, okay, there you go. When I used it on shadows, it made it a very bright color, but darker, and that's not what we want, because that just looks obnoxious. So we're going to use it on highlights for this one. And it'll always be different depending on the color you're going over, but see how it kind of, like, it darkens it, but it also gives it a bit of that black, like it's adding more shadow to it rather than just straight up darkening it. Now I'm going to switch over to midtones now that I got quite a bit of that on. Go back to throw some dodge highlights in there. Wow, too much. Sorry for being so quiet. But there's not really much to explain what I'm doing right now. I'm still just doing the same thing, just dodging and burning it. Really, all this does is just adds shading, and it's not like you have to manually go in and fucking smudge things and like paint over it or whatever. And I'm doing this with a mouse, so it's not like you need a pen tablet or anything special. Just go along and give it some of that shadow. Bring out the highlights. This is the same thing I do to my pictures when I edit them. So just go in and then bring out the highlights. Dodge, but I'm gonna shadow. Get that realistic. Okay, so that's pretty much all you need to do, because like that already looks much nicer. Kind of colors are a bit weird, but that's always fixable. And what I was saying earlier about how I would just make a bunch of different colors is like, say this is the finished product, you just go in here and be like, okay, well we have pink and yellow, so it's another one that looks good. There's blue and purple, you know. There's a greenish blue. Just drag it and change it. Yeah, but okay, the thing I did to the other wing that I will do is I copied it all and pasted it over top so that there's two of them. I'm just turning the transparency on this one off with the little eyeball here, so you're not seeing both. I'm just seeing the one layer. I just don't want to fuck with the first layer. And then I took the eraser, a stronger preference than that, and I just went around and got rid of like the inside, and it's almost in its entirety. I just wanted to keep the outside and the vein. I don't know if this will end up looking good on this wing because it's a different kind of wing than the first one, but it definitely ended up looking good on the first one. So I'm just gonna again show you how you can manipulate Photoshop a bit. Just erased out the inside of it, and then now we see we have both layers. With the top layer selected that has no inside, I'm just going to go to adjustments, and then this is essentially what I did with the first one. So I brought the brightness right down, and I brought the contrast up so it sticks out more. Now it's kind of starting to look a little burnt, honestly, than anything. It's kind of really dark. But again, that does look good in some senses. People like the dark look, but if you don't like it, I'll keep it on normal. You can just go to the layer transparency and bring it down a bit, you know, see where you like it, because without it, it is really bright. Like along here is really bright pink, like that is a hot pink. So you can bring it down a bit. Just put it at like 50. And then I will do the same for this one. You could burn it again along the edges if it's easier for you to just use the burn tool, but I usually do this because it gets it evenly across the whole wing outline, the edge there. Just kind of, whereas burn, you're at the mercy of your hand, and if you do jagged lines, you might notice it, but this I'm just kind of, so you got the whole outline of the wing there. Actually, I'll do this one without you seeing the layer beneath it so you can kind of see directly what's happening here. So I got it darker, and that looks better. Whoa! See, now that's trial and error right there. This does not look good, so just erase it right out. That is way too fucking bright for anybody. See, that's better. And then what was the other one at? 59. I'll set this one to 59 as well so they're matching. Okay, and then the last thing I did, my brush is still set to it because I had done it earlier, was I went into the brushes, and I mean, you could do it with these if just the little blur brush if you want to, but make a new layer and just do little spots that way. But I found it was easier to use a brush that kind of already had like a bunch of these. Like, so you scroll down a bit, you see these brushes that you should have, which more or less just put a bunch at once. They kind of look like sparkles. So I used one that was like, that wasn't that. I would just play with them, honestly. I think I used one of these ones down here. Yeah. Just kind of go over, and every time I click, it gives a little bit of sparkle, sparkle. I put extra sparkles there along the edge. Blah, 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 blah. See how I'm going outside the lines right now? It just doesn't really matter. It won't matter in a minute because I'll show you how to fix that up. But I'll go do this on both of them. Create a new layer. I hope this isn't too confusing for you. I'm sorry if it is, but you can always ask me later when you see it, and if I'm around, I can help you. But we've literally only covered like a few things. Dodge and burn, right here, underneath the smudge. Dodge and burn. Highlights, darkens. We used the eraser tool, and now we're just using the paintbrush tool. So they aren't super advanced things. We did go in and we went to adjustments, brightness / contrast. It's a good thing to use. You don't have to do that step though. The extra thing, it'll, like, if I get rid of that, it still looks just as good with the dodging and burning. It's just an additional thing if you want to learn how to do. Okay, now that I have this, I'm just gonna put my eraser up to 100% everything and just go around and kind of roughly get rid of the edges so that there's no sparkles coming off of the wing, because that's not good. We don't want them coming off of the wing. I mean, that actually might look cool if you had some sparkles coming off, but I would probably go in and do that more precisely to make sure that you don't have it looking weird. God, I'm sorry. See, closer inward you get here where it's a smaller space, you want to use a smaller brush to make sure you don't just get rid of everything. Okay, now it kind of looks like somebody like jizzed on this with those white sparkles, but you want to use white because what you're going to do is, actually, I'm going to merge that burnt layer down on them so that it's less confusing with all the layers. You can just kind of see you have your one layer, which is the wing, and now we have the layer with the sparkles. So, layer with the sparkles. We have layer options right now. It's set to normal. If you scroll through these, like if you just go through all of them, you can see they have different effects on the wing. The one that we wanted to use is actually overlay. I think screen might look just as good. No, screen looks like crap. Soft light. Soft light looks, it's kind of keeping them to the tone of white, just lighter. But overlay will take part of the color underneath it, and it's still really strong, so we're just going to dull that down to like 73. Looks good. And do the same thing over here. Oh. Overlay. And 73. And there you go. There's slightly updated wings. Now these ones didn't turn out as nice as the orange ones because they are a bit different, but I mean, you never know how anything's gonna look until it turns out, but I still think they do probably look a lot better than they did before. Upload them in SL. Hey look, there's you, you're adorable. That's, yep, I love it when I type things super fast and that's like not even close to the word that I want. Hone, please. Actually, I don't even know if you did the wings in SL yet, if you've actually made the prim versions, so I'm just not even gonna ask for them, which is what I was gonna do. Nope. Just do it myself. Good, I don't know how to fucking align this shit, so I'm just gonna put 2 cubes on top of each other. That's how we do it, right? Right, Allah! Why am I doing both sides? Oh my god. I could have done this with just one side and it would have been acceptable. I'm an idiot. Okay, well I don't think they would be like that. They're probably gonna be something more like this. I don't fucking know. I don't know. I don't know how to wing, Ella. I'm sorry. Let's just go like that for now to just give an idea. So there's these. And then give you an example of what the other ones looked like beforehand. So there you go. There's a before and after. These actually look a lot better closer to this. I would keep maybe some of the dark outlining and stuff, but not go as dark. You can always just tweak it, but the inside here with the dodge along it definitely looks really nice on the inside, but these, because their nature and the way they are, actually look better as a more cartoony wing. But the point still stands. This is how you get that effect that I had on mine. It looks really nice compared to, you know, what it was before. You can see the differences here. If I just move them close to each other, you can really see the difference. I think maybe even I would do a lot lighter on the sparkles because they're still really noticeable. I would have maybe dropped them down to like 20%, so it's just a subtle thing, but either way, that's how I did what I did to these ones, and how I got them to look a little bit more realistic. So hopefully this helpful in some way will be some helpful. You can have a cuteness. And maybe it'll help you make better wings. Okay, thank y'all. Love y'all.